Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to A Slice of Time. I'm your host, Nate Maxon. What's that, Archie?
Is that what we're recording tonight?
Yes, that's what we're recording tonight. Sometimes
the slice of supreme pizza. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm done.
This is the latest podcast in the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network. Joining, of course, the We Can't Wrestle podcast, Reliving the Extreme, the Asylum Wrestling podcast, and Archie's show, If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking.
My shit's coming up next week. It's coming.
Yes, it is. It will be joining us as well. For those of you that have followed us over from WrestleNet Radio, this podcast is essentially where every week, whoever's my guest gets to listen to me, and we react to the news and notes from behind the scenes and the TV and all that from pro wrestling exactly 25 years ago this week, whatever week it is. And as you hear, I am joined by Mr. Archie Mitchell.
What's up, everybody?
And my brother, Aaron.
Hello.
And I will archive the old shows that we have done as time have gone on because I do love this show. I want to say, I didn't tell him till we came on the air because I didn't want him to back out. Archie, yeah. I have no indie results this week. I'm sorry.
What?
Yes, there's no indie results for this week.
Make them up.
I need to kill my mic for like 2 minutes so I can cry. You guys talk amongst yourself. I'm devastated right now. Damn it.
Albuquerque, New Mexico, the sad Bobby Beach Show. Nobody's going to know any different.
I love it.
Danny Diamond beat the Wrecker. Yeah.
There was 8 people in attendance.
Yes.
Dave Dynasty. Beat Chad Austin.
Oh, God.
It was a real knockdown drag out. Yeah. Bunkhouse Buck got involved. How did that happen? All right. Well, like I said, we're talking about 25 years ago in pro wrestling, the news, the notes, the shows. This week was a big week, actually, 25 years ago. And actually, I remember watching this Monday Night Raw. I think Aaron was even watching it with me with great anticipation, as this is finally the Monday, the week that Bret Hart comes back to the WWF after leaving after WrestleMania 12. So here we go with a bit of this.
There was this Lonesome Dove stuff.
Yeah. Bret had, it was up in the air. Well, here we go. Bret had decided to go back to the WWF early last week, but the final details to make that decision official were not worked out until Monday afternoon, just hours before Raw. In Fort Wayne, Indiana. In fact, in the days leading up to Raw, WCW apparently made a final play for Bret, including phone calls by Eric Bischoff, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash. Hall and Nash are said to have offered to waive their matching salary clause in their contracts if Bret decided to go to WCW. Bret informed McMahon that he was still considering WCW's offer over the weekend, but at 6:30 a.m. on Monday morning, he called to tell McMahon he would be getting on a plane to Indianapolis and to have the final draft of his contract waiting for him at the airport. Bret was willing to walk out on the deal once he arrived in Indy if the written contract did not exactly reflect the details they had worked out over the phone. So Bret's final contract, here we go. We're a year from now, we'll be talking about something completely different. Bret's final contract is said to be for 20 years, 3 years as a wrestler, and 17 years as a front office employee. That does not mean Bret will necessarily retire after 3 years, but it does mean that he will spend the rest of his career wrestling in the WWF. And we know he comes out on Raw, gives the speech. And I think that you look at a lot of this stuff that was going on, even in 96 between Bret and Vince. The screw job, and again, we'll be talking about that in a year. The screw job is what it is, but they're both to blame. Bret and Vince are both equally to blame in their situation.
Vince should have never tried to give something to Bret that he wasn't 100% sure that he could deliver, and Bret shouldn't have asked for such a fucking deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that, and on top of that, if Shawn Michaels wouldn't have been such a bitch, which I'm a Shawn Michaels fan, we know that, but you literally walk up to the guy and say, hey, by the way, you're gonna, and this is in with the screw job. I know you're dropping the title to me. I want you to know if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't be doing the same for you. It's like, why?
Right.
Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he was just being an asshole, being an unbearable asshole.
That's what messed it up. You know, Brett was all good and well with losing to him and putting him over and losing in Canada. The minute he said that, Brett went to Vince and went, you know what? I don't think my character can lose in Canada, and I don't think I could. I'll just come out on Raw and hand you your belt. But
It's
that's
like
a year from now.
Go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and that's like, and again, I guess we'll be talking about this in a year, but I just want to. It's in my brain now. It's like Flair said, but that's like me saying I'm not going to lose in the United States.
Right.
You know, I mean, okay, I'm from the United States, so I'm not losing there.
Anyway,
and I understand.
right.
I understand that within the WWF system, it's different a little bit because Brett was quote unquote the Canadian hero or whatever. He was patterned that way, but. Again, we'll debate the screw job itself later when we get to it down the line. But
even when you don't get to the screw job part of it, when the whole year leading up, Shawn was being the antagonist against Brett behind the scenes. You know,
Brett
the Sunny Days comment. You know,
yeah. Well, and it's funny because throughout the time, it seems to me, Brett was constantly kind of antagonizing Vince. Right. And Shawn was constantly antagonizing Brett. And Vince was
using Brett, using Shawn as the puppet.
Mm-hmm. I see it from everybody's perspective. Okay. Like, say it's a day-to-day thing, and it's not even like the wrestling business or whatever. Like, if I would walk into work and somebody would look at me and be like, hey, man, I'm really glad you helped me out with that situation, but I'm never going to be willing to help you out in that situation, that same situation ever again. I'm going to look at that guy and be like, fuck you.
Right.
I'm not going to do it for you either.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I understand Brett's side of it. I understand Shawn's side of it, that Shawn's trying to protect his spot and whatever. And I understand Vince's bit of he's got people hemorrhaging out of his company and going elsewhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, I think Vince McMahon was, and I don't hate Vince McMahon. Okay. I don't. I think he's the greatest promoter in the history of professional wrestling. But I honestly think that when Vince offered Brett that contract, he had, the minute he gave that to him, he didn't think he was going to be able to honor it.
Right.
And I think he thought Brett wasn't going to be willing to go somewhere else and was going to take some different type of
some renegotiation down the line.
Okay, it's like, okay, we can't do 20 years, but we can do 10. And I think he thought Brett was going to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Do that. And that, I could be talking in circles or whatever, but I just think everybody thought somebody else is going to do something else in that situation.
Well, and the thing Brett had over on Vince at the time is at that time, Brett was the first person to be offered guaranteed money because WCW was the one that was offering everybody guaranteed money. I mean, even Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Buff Bagwell had guaranteed contracts in WCW. Where, you know, so when Hall and Nash put that phone call to Brett during this time frame, they were like, look, even if you get injured, even if you don't feel like working, even if you just want to sit on your ass and do an interview, they're still going to pay you, man. And Brett was like, well, that sounds nice. And Vince is like, no, I'll match it. And then Vince was like, a couple of days later, shit, what did I just do?
Oh yeah, Vince absolutely, like Aaron said, Vince was hemorrhaging talent. He absolutely panicked. Yeah. And that's another reason why people always are like Jim Cornette will be like, I don't know why Vince put up with Shawn Michaels shit. It was because I think at this point, Vince was just so, because if you notice, once Steve Austin takes off and WWF gets popular, Vince doesn't put up with Shawn's shit.
No,
Shawn. I really do. I think that Vince put up with Shawn's shit because he was afraid, God damn, I'm going to lose another big star. Who do I have? Right. Who the fuck do I have to replace him? You know what I mean? I'm running out of fucking big stars.
I got Bob Holly sitting over there.
Bob Holly versus The Undertaker, WrestleMania.
And that's honestly what I think it was. I think it was 3 people that were full of their own shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Vince thought anybody was going to walk out on, like, okay, they say anybody's going to walk out on him. I don't think he thought Brett would walk out on him.
Well,
I think Shawn Michaels thought, I'm the fucking, and good for him for thinking this, because that's what you should if you're in that business. He thought, I'm the best fucking dude in the ring. There's no way Vince is going to push me out for Brett. And I think Brett thought, I've been loyal to this guy and he's not going to fuck me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody had different mindsets on it, and it all culminated into what we're going to see in a year.
Now, when you look at the bigger picture of it, though, the spectrum of it all, this is Vince's fault for not creating new stars quicker. He had the same problem when Hogan and Macho and all these other guys left earlier a few years before. He had to forcefully make Brett and Shawn into main eventers. And yeah, they came along well, but now you're at that cusp again. Well, Brett's getting older, Shawn's getting older. Neither guy want to wrestle anymore in the next couple of years. You look at it in the same situation, and I hate to, switch gears, but football. Right now, the Green Bay Packers have no replacement if Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Right.
The Patriots are feeling it because they lost Tom Brady, and now they got a young kid who's scared and went behind the ears. They did not coach a replacement. So Vince, like you said, Nate, when Steve Austin proved he could handle it on his own, and then The Rock started to come up and Triple H, and The Undertaker said, don't worry, Vince, I got this. I could be the locker room leader. Just do what you got to do with these young guys, and we'll build them. And then McFoley came in, and all fell into place. And then Vince, like you said, looked at Shawn and was like, okay, let him do his tired shtick. I'll just let him go home for a couple months.
Yeah, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore.
Right. And then Shawn went home for 4 years, and nobody blinked an eye.
Yeah. We are, the Raw that we're talking about is what we'll go through next. And actually, it's obviously this is October 21st, 1996. That's 25 years ago. It's live, like Aaron said, from Fort Wayne, Indiana, just 30 miles away from where Aaron and I reside. And this is, I'm going to be honest, everybody, and it's the era, it's still the era of hour-long Monday Night Raws. This is one of my favorite Monday Night Raws. This is one of my favorite Monday Night Raws.
Still that when they would do 3 weeks taped and 1 week live.
Yeah.
Like when they would come off a pay-per-view, so.
Of course, at the beginning of the show, they talk about Bret Hart and that situation. Sid beat Owen Hart by disqualification. The Godwins, with Hillbilly Jim, beat the Smoking Guns when Henry pinned Bart. A feature aired...
teams. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. A feature aired previewing the November 16th Hall of Fame ceremony, including footage of Pat Patterson, Jimmy Snuka, and a still shot of Vince McMahon Sr. And here you go. There are 2 things on this show that make this one of my favorite episodes of Raw. First of all, of course, there's the Bret Hart promo where he comes out, and Vince does great in that situation because Bret says, yeah, he sweats it. Yeah. And then when Bret says, I'll be the WWF forever. Then Vince does the whole, buddy. Yeah. Vince does the whole, thank God. He did a great job on that. But the other angle that's going on here is we're supposed to have the match between Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mr. Perfect on this show. And Hunter rams Perfect's knee with the cart backstage. Perfect limp to the ring with Mark Marrow, Sable, and Gorilla Monsoon. Ross was in the ring and asked what was going on. What's that?
So look at that collection of people.
Ross was in the ring and asked what was going on. Perfect said Monsoon talked to the doctors who said he can't wrestle tonight. Monsoon confirmed he's not letting Perfect wrestle. Hunter said because he's a chicken. Perfect said Marrow is a stand-up guy who offered to wrestle Hunter in his place. Hunter said he is under no obligation to wrestle. Monsoon said Hunter can leave if he likes. Hunter said the only way he'd wrestle Marrow is if he puts his Intercontinental title on the line. Perfect said, show him what kind of champion you are. Of course you'll wrestle him. Marrow agreed. And then the match starts, and and a very cool swerve. You watch it now, you watch Kurt Hennig's mannerisms during the interview and stuff, and you kind of see it coming. But I didn't then. I honestly,
Oh no,
I didn't.
then I didn't. Then I was like, oh shit, what's going on?
Yes, because Mr. Perfect helps Hunter beat Mark Marrow for the Intercontinental Championship. And there's the big swerve. Hunter's now one-time Intercontinental Champion. And Mr. Perfect helped him out.
And I don't, because Kurt wasn't long for the WWE after this.
Nope, he's gone by Survivor Series.
Right.
Very quickly.
They never actually get, we never actually get a Kurt Hennig promo to explain why. Except for,
right.
Well, Triple H is the closest thing to perfect, and he's my new protege. You know what I mean? He doesn't say why Mark Merrill was the fall guy, why it needed to go down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it would have been nice to get some closure, but it's okay, I guess.
What did you think of this angle, Aaron? You like this?
I liked it, and I understood where they were going with it. But like I said, like Arch said, Kurt was not long for the WWE world, and he took that WCW money that Brett didn't take.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a bit of it. Yeah,
and a bit of it, but it had potential to be cool. With I think Kurt managing Triple H. He wasn't Triple H at the time, but you know what I mean. I think Kurt managing Hunter Hearst Helmsley would have been cool, and it probably, honestly, this might be out of left field. Say he would have stuck around, it would have added a different wrinkle to DX when it happened.
More than likely, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if he would have stuck around, fucking Shawn and Triple H and China would have fucking loved having Kurt Hennig.
Oh yeah.
No,
a lot of people.
Definitely.
There's no way they wouldn't have been like, Kurt's going to be in DX.
Well, and he could have been too, because I know a lot of people think of Kurt as Mr. Perfect and that kind of a character. But look at how he has amazing comedic timing. Look at him during the West Texas Rednecks. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kurt Hennig was a funny guy.
And see, I'm a Rick Rude fan, but say he would have stuck around in the WWF and not left, he would have been a much better fit.
Yeah,
than being the advisor to DX than Rick Rude.
And it would have been better when Rude, if they did decide to put Rude with them. Okay, now you got Rude and Perfect together, like they did in the NWO. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it would have made for a better storyline, and not to mention they kind of then just threw Hunter to the wolves, and he was just getting manager after man. Like he went with Mr. Hughes after that, and then they finally brought in China. So I'm wondering if he finally said, "Look, I don't want to deal with Mr. Hughes anymore. Hennig left me in the lurch. Can we just bring China in now and just give me a solid manager for the time being? I can't handle this anymore."
The little bit of news and notes here from the WWF. With Raw's crashing ratings, Vince McMahon put himself back on camera to try to give Raw a major league must-see feel again. He wasn't alone in thinking that as good as Kevin Kelly was, the lack of McMahon's presence made the show seem less important.
And I understand that.
Me too. He was the voice of the WWF, you know?
Couldn't they have gotten rid of Michael Cole, though? Michael Cole could have been the one let go and kept Kevin Kelly.
Yeah. But if you look at it from a WWF standpoint, a WWE standpoint, Vince looked at Michael Cole as being more aesthetically pleasing.
Not only that, he took the abuse.
I don't think about aesthetics, but Vince does.
He took the abuse. That's all. He threw the microphone. He was getting yelled at weekly, and he took it. Kevin Kelly talked back. You know, they just recently said, Renee Young said that during some kind of interview she was doing during a pre-show, after they went to commercial, Vince McMahon yelled into the microphone and made her cry, basically, because he called her an idiot and said she didn't know how to do her job. So he was willing to do that to a woman. Mm-hmm. What was he saying to the guys on commentary? Well,
to be fair, anybody that takes that job, you know they've heard the stories, so they know.
Oh yeah. Mick Foley himself said, "I couldn't handle being yelled at by Vince McMahon weekly."
I'm done with it. Yeah.
I'm just saying, if Jim Ross can take it, anybody can take it.
Well, Jim Ross only took it for so long.
I think this is funny. On the international version of WWF.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Real quick. The only thing I'll say is Michael Cole the greatest commentator in the world? No.
No.
But should Michael Cole get a lot of fucking credit for being able to be the guy that could just fucking take it?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Goddamn right. Like,
well, I
salute
agree.
to Michael Cole for being. Go ahead, Nate. Sorry.
It's all right. I think this. What's that?
So let's hear it.
Okay. I don't know why. I just thought this little note was humorous. On the international version of WWF Superstars, Gorilla Monsoon said after the Jesse James feature aired that Jeff Jarrett is nothing but a liar, just like his father. Gorilla Monsoon throwing shade on Jerry Jarrett on the international version of Superstars.
Yeah, what the hell happened there?
I saw that and I was like,
Jerry must have told him that his chicken salad was good.
Why are you so mad, Gorilla? Calm down.
And the last note here, there was some heat last Wednesday between the WWF and Kurt Hennig. The WWF was apparently under the assumption that Hennig could be persuaded to return to the ring, but he flat out turned them down. Even the WWF wasn't sure Bret would be returning, and they felt a ton of pressure to deliver on Hennig's return if Bret wasn't going to be there. So there you go. That's another look into the mindset of Vince McMahon at this time. He's willing to book a possible return to the ring of Mr. Perfect to get people to watch the show, even though he doesn't even know if Mr. Perfect, you know what I mean? Like, like he's just throwing shit against the wall at this point.
But how much that goes to show how much Vince was offering Kurt Hennig to return to the ring and how much WCW did. Because as soon as Kurt Hennig got to WCW, he was ready to wrestle. You know what I mean? He didn't even think about it. He was like, yeah, I'll be in the Horseman angle, then I'll go to the NWO, and then, here I am. I'm the United States champion.
Right.
Versus Vince McMahon, hey, you want to wrestle yet? Nope. I'm good.
And I'm not saying that it happened because I wasn't involved in the, obviously, any knowledge of the contract negotiations or anything. But Kurt, at this time, was on a Lloyd's at London.
Yeah.
And I guarantee he told Eric Bischoff, if I would wrestle, this is the amount of money that I would lose off of the Lloyd's of London. And Eric probably paid him his Lloyd's of London.
Oh, without a doubt.
If it was like $100,000, he was probably like, all right, I'll give you $100,000.
Yeah.
I'll pay you that fucking insurance. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt.
I guarantee Eric paid him to get back in the ring whatever he would lose if he did, and Vince wasn't willing to do that.
Eric Bischoff is the epitome of what happens when you get a teenager a credit card. Ted Turner handed him his checkbook and said, yeah, you do whatever you want for my wrestling company. And he did it.
Yeah.
He did it. So it just goes to show he was offering money to everybody. Hey, Craig Pittman, you're fresh out of the power plant. You want $500,000? Yes.
Of course I do.
Hey, Glacier, we're going to invest $1 million in your entrance. Okay.
Speaking of WCW Monday Nitro, October 21st, 1996, live from Mankato, Minnesota.
This is almost going to be like an indie result.
Chris Jericho pinned Bobby Eaton. I'm sure that was good.
Probably good.
Let's see here. A music video aired on Rey Mysterio. Dean Malenko beat Jimmy Graffiti. Who's Jimmy Graffiti?
Jimmy Del Rey.
Jimmy Del Rey. The Bogus Sting filmed the match with a camcorder. Bogus Sting. Diamond Dallas Page beat the guy Archie just mentioned, Sergeant Craig Pitbull Pittman.
I bet that was terrible.
That was really bad.
Let's see here. Shivani interviewed Nick Patrick, who again denied Shivani's allegations that he is with the NWO. Patrick said ref Randy Anderson is actually with the NWO. I love heel Nick Patrick. I just He was great, and like him in the little mask, like we talked
it
about on
wasn't a
air.
little
Like,
mask, it was a stocking cap.
yeah, that's
that
what.
was
But we talked about it on Aaron's
He
show.
didn't even try to hide his voice.
Yeah, he
I
was
loved
fun in
it
that
when he
role.
finally came out. When he finally came out as the NWO official, his claim to being a heel was wearing an earring, putting on sunglasses, and cutting the sleeves off his referee shirt. That made Nick Patrick a badass. You know what I mean? He was like,
Yeah.
"This is my character development."
They showed Ric Flair being attacked by the NWO in the back area 3 weeks ago, and Jeff Jarrett's debut interview 2 weeks ago. Shivani said a young man who respects the sport has arrived to defend WCW, Jeff Jarrett. And then Jeff Jarrett beat Big Ron Studd.
God went mild.
With the Yeti.
The Yeti. He beat him in a minute 28 with the figure four.
How?
And here, yeah.
7'8", that guy was Ron Studd. 7'5", bigger than the Giant, and Jeff Jarrett beats him in a minute 24. Really?
Well, and there's a little bit of a difference between the undercard of WCW and just the general vision, at least at this time, that the WWF would have. Vince McMahon, okay, say the same match is happening on a WWF show. Vince McMahon might still have babyface Jeff Jarrett go over. But in the way Vince McMahon would have booked it is that Jeff Jarrett, it would have been like a 10-minute match and Jeff Jarrett would have worked on it from underneath for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Whereas on WCW, nobody gives a shit. So they just, nobody's even paying attention.
No, let's book Jeff Jarrett to be Superman all of a sudden, which he never was to begin with.
Well, and they're probably literally like, hey, Jeff Jarrett needs an opponent tonight. And Kevin Sullivan's like, what about Big Ron Studd? Yeah, but he only gets 2 minutes. What about Big Ron Studd?
Ron was like, I don't know who Ron Studd is, but do it. Yes.
Ron Studd's putting the toilet paper on. No, you don't got to be the Yeti tonight. You can be yourself. Oh, good.
Like one of my favorite like Eric Bischoff stories is the one-man gang story. You ever heard that?
No.
Fucking Eric Bischoff, one-man gang, if he's not lying, because wrestlers they
tell their story.
Yeah. One-man gang said he was in an airport and he saw Eric Bischoff, like he was waiting in line, and he saw Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff was like, hey man, what are you doing here? And gang was like, well, I'm going to the show. And Eric's like, what are you doing? He goes, well, I'm the United States champion. And Eric was like, really? I didn't even know that.
Jesus, what was Eric Bischoff smoking?
Like he had, according to the one-man gang, Eric Bischoff didn't even know that he was United States champion of the company that he was running.
Promoting, yeah.
Bischoff gets.
I believe it.
And that's
I believe it.
One-man gang was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here.
Bishop gets to the arena.
This thing will work out.
Bishop gets to the arena. I gotta ask you people a question. One, whose idea was it to put Akeem as our United States champion? Kevin Sullivan's like, it was my idea. Oh, okay.
So the second hour of Nitro starts off here with Lex Luger beating Roadblock with a torture rack. One of the most impressive torture racks ever, picking up that Rochester Roadblock.
If I remember, he almost dropped him on his head a couple times while he was putting it on.
Speaking of one-man gang, isn't Rochester Roadblock the guy that got in the business by coming over the rails at one-man gang?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. Harlem Heat beat the American Males.
As they should.
Yes, as they should. Let's see here. Anything else? Faces of Fear beat the Fantastics. Seriously, WCW just signed everybody.
Everybody.
Was it the actual Fantastics?
Yes, it is. The
Bobby
Face of Fear
Fulton.
beat the Fantastic. Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers.
Tommy Rogers. And then Fulton left because he got hurt or he got sick. And Tommy Rogers, I believe, stayed on as a singles wrestler for a little while.
Wade Keller actually mentions in this report that this was the return to that national television of the Fantastics, and they just lost to the Faces of Fear.
And how goddamn good was Tommy Rogers, man?
He was.
That dude was fucking great. And I'm not trying to get off on like a sidebar, but like, if WCW really wanted to do something with their fucking cruiserweight division, which I mean they did great with their cruiserweight division, but like Tommy Rogers, imagine like going on a fucking pay-per-view and we're like, okay, on our pay-per-view tonight in the middle of the card, we're gonna have Tommy Rogers versus Dean Malenko. God damn, that would be
probably would have been a good match, yeah.
Right.
But
when Vince did his fucking half-ass attempt to have a lightweight division, it's like, oh, we're gonna have Tommy Rogers versus Taka Michinoku. Jesus Christ!
I don't know if that would work. I don't know.
Great!
Taka might have killed Tommy by mistake. I don't know. I don't know if it would work, but it's weird thing. Like you mentioned it, Nate, that they lost to the Face of Fear. They had the Rock and Roll Express on the roster at this time. You think it would have been better to put the Fantastics against the Rock and Roll Express?
Yeah, I mean, fuck, they employ everybody. you literally have like the WCW roster in '96 is like all of our creator wrestlers in our wrestling games. You know, we've got the biggest fucking roster ever.
See, that probably happened. There was probably a fucking worldwide taping that's not listed in here.
Right.
Where it was fucking people like walking around the amusement park where they were like, come in here and watch some shit. And these people that had no idea what they were seeing probably watched the fucking Fantastics versus the Rock and Roll Express.
Probably, yeah.
And probably fucking tore that goddamn little building down, and nobody appreciated it.
Everybody in there was like, we're just in here for the air conditioning. It's kind of hot out today.
It's hot in fucking Orlando.
This Nitro ended with Randy Savage was supposed to wrestle Chris Benoit, and this is the Nitro where they show Bischoff shows Randy Savage the video that Hulk Hogan sent from the Three Ninjas movie, where Hogan's being rapey with Elizabeth. Like he's taking Elizabeth kind of hostage, and it's like talking about gonna go to the like. So you guys know
holding her forcefully.
Yes, like
this time in the background, you know.
I remember the last time I watched this show, I was like, man, Hogan comes off really rapey in this episode of Nitro. Like, this is kind of nasty.
Well, look, I always make the joke he did have lust in his eyes. If there was ever an argument for him having lust in his eyes, it was that promo.
Yes.
Because he proved everything Randy Savage said in the 80s at that moment. You know.
But
poor Randy was just sitting there. You literally watch Randy Savage have a nervous breakdown on live television watching that video. He doesn't say anything. He's just twitching. He's like freaking out.
Yeah, his wild. Yeah, I was gonna say his wild hair coming out from under his do rag, and he's licking his bottom lip, you know, and Nobody was crazy like Randy Savage was crazy. I mean, Piper was crazy, but he was a different kind of crazy.
Right, but Savage played it perfectly. Like he made you think, okay,
because he was
go home.
Because he was.
Like in a real world scenario, if a guy got a video of his old best friend with his wife and he was being all rapey, guy's gonna go home and probably commit suicide. You got the feeling Randy Savage might be going to hang himself by the end of the night. You know, he's like, no, I'm not fighting Benoit. I'm just going home.
That, like Nate was saying, that's the difference between Piper and Savage.
Yep.
Like when you read shit about Roddy Piper, like when he was at home, like they said the dude was normal.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he was just, I have my kids, I have my wife, we're cool. But when he got into like the locker room and around the sport, like he got a little crazy. Randy Savage was fucking nuts the entire time.
Yes. And
Like
according to Dark Side,
he didn't have like a kid, like he didn't have kids and family to ground him. He was just nuts all the fucking time.
and according to Dark Side of the Ring, when he wasn't around the people and acting nuts, he was hiding in a corner, spying on them and acting nuts. You know, he had like spy equipment and shit to find out where Elizabeth was, who she talked to. You know.
Yeah.
And then he made the greatest rap album of all time.
Yes, yes. Which is what all former world heavyweight champions do.
That fucking Randy Savage rap video or album is fantastic.
Have you ever seen the video of him challenging Hulk Hogan on the air at a radio station?
Yeah, I had
It's
the fucking
hysterical.
I had the Macho Man rap CD.
That video though, of him challenging Hogan is hysterical because he's really challenging him. He doesn't want to have a wrestling match on television. He wants to have a fight.
Fight me.
Like I wanted that CD so bad. Like the girl I was dating at the time, like she got it for me for my birthday, and she's like, "I got you the CD." I'm like, "That's fantastic." She goes, "Do you know how embarrassing it was?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "I had to walk into Tower Records and be like, hey, do you guys have the Macho Man Randy Savage rap album?"
Did they say, ooh,
That's
yeah?
funny.
And then I listened to it over and over and over. It's fantastic.
It's like, Aaron, do you want to go somewhere tonight? No, I'm listening to my CD.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. I'm listening to the Macho Man rap.
There's a line where he's like sitting in the club popping some bubbly. That's what he said.
Chris Jericho stole it.
Yeah. I'm gonna post Macho Man Randy Savage raps when we're done doing this.
Little WCW news here. Rocco Rock had surgery on his shoulder on the 21st, and Johnny Grunge had knee surgery. So they're both limping their asses into somewhere. Public Enemy's having surgery as a tag team. Isn't that special?
Like, look, I put you through countless tables during matches. You've done the same for me. I think we should be in the room with each other when we have our surgery.
Yes. Will you hold my
You're
hand?
Yeah. Hold my hand until the anesthesia tells you not to.
Ric Flair injured his shoulder earlier this year and re-injured in Japan. He will have surgery this week and will be out until at least January. I think Rick does actually have that surgery and is out for a bit, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Well, he's there, but he cuts a promo.
Yeah.
He meant and the stupidest part about the promos he would cut, Nate, he'd come out and he'd endorse Jeff Jarrett, but then Arn Anderson and Benoit and Mongo were like, no, we don't want him in the group. And then he'd disappear, and they beat the crap out of Jeff Jarrett while he wasn't there. And
right.
He'd come back, and he's like, I was away on Horseman business. And everybody was around going, what the fuck is Horseman business if we're not involved? You know?
Yes. Yeah. It was all very disjointed at this time.
Yes, it was. It was.
Let's see here. Conan has left AAA and is joining the rival promotion in Mexico. Many of Conan's friends will be joining him, including basically everyone from the AAA who has wrestled in WCW. It's expected WCW will retain a relationship with Conan rather than AAA, although Conan's power in WCW is said to have diminished in recent weeks. That was one of the things with Conan. Like, he used his access to the luchadors to his benefit in WC. Once he learned that Bischoff wanted luchadors in there, he was like, oh, hey, I got you hook up.
He still does it to this day. That's why he pops up in every promotion but WWE. Because when they want like guys like Santana or Ortiz or the Lucha Bros or Thunder Rosa, they call Conan. You know, and now that they've got him under contract, Conan doesn't have to show up. But I think it's in their contract every so often, like, hey, we need Conan in the corner like twice a year. You know what I mean? Because he pops up. There's Conan.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a very bitter person. He's very angry at the world.
Well, let him show up and throw a shoe at somebody and be okay. Does he still throw shoes?
Yeah, we know slapjack shoes. You name
it. Most entertaining thing he ever did.
Maybe through a shoe at people.
Yeah. Yes.
That's fun stuff.
Giants' contract is said to expire in early 1998, which we know he'll remain with WCW through 98. Still no confirmation on Randy Savage's status, whether his contract expires in November, and if so, whether he is re-signed or plans to leave. I know this was a big talking point.
Where was he going to
Well, there was. I distinctly remember at this time, like some of the guys that I hung out with in school and stuff that we talked wrestling.
Right.
That some of those guys, I didn't at this time yet in my life, but some of the guys were either reading dirt sheets or very early had AOL or something and were getting rumors somehow. But there was a lot of talk going around. And again, it's not necessarily legit.
would have sucked at ECW?
No, there was talk about him going back to the WWF.
Vince wouldn't have brought him back.
Well, we know that now, but I didn't know that then. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Look in hindsight, he wouldn't have had anywhere else to go.
No, other than just unless he went to Phil Alperstein's AWF.
He might have worked in Japan, but
imagine Randy Savage in Japan. Moda. Mm-hmm.
You got lust in your eyes.
Anything else?
You got mist in your face.
You got mist in your face. September 24th in Los Angeles, California, Sting and Giant shot scenes with Jim Carrey for his movie Liar Liar. Remember a few weeks ago we were trying to figure out the mystery? If we'd have just waited just a few weeks, we would have known.
Right.
But I don't remember any wrestlers being in Liar Liar.
Neither do I.
I think we found out when we were researching it that the scene got deleted or something.
Yeah,
like they didn't actually use it in the movie. But I can see where it would have been. I can see where it would have been a scene in the movie because they make the reference to wrestling, like with the claw and all that stuff. So obviously the kid and the dad like wrestling. So maybe there was a scene where they went to a wrestling show or something.
Maybe right.
All right, let's see. Rounding out WCW, we're going to do. I know, Archie. It sucked we didn't have any indie results, but we do have WCW TV tapings.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Get to some indie results.
We always love WCW. Yeah, we always love WCW TV tapings. WCW Saturday night taping. October 16th in Anderson, South Carolina at the Civic Center.
There's going to be some gambler sightings. And
there better be.
Jim Powers.
2,500 people. It was a sellout. It was a sellout at this Civic Center.
At the Saturday night main event? Really?
Yeah, Saturday night. But said they would do that, though. Like, Saturday night.
The studio was so small, though.
Well, no, this was in Anderson, South Carolina.
Oh,
this isn't at MGM.
Yeah, this is WCW toured around because not trying to get away from Nate's results or whatever. This is when WCW went on the road because they were
okay.
I went to a WCW Saturday night taping when they went to the Seagate Center in Toledo. So yeah, this would be they were out of Peachtree and all this shit at this time.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was gonna say I don't remember them. You know what I mean?
They were going to smaller buildings. They weren't going
smaller. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Going to civic centers and
right.
Yeah. Let's see. Diamond Dallas Page beat Scotty Riggs.
No.
Shivani interviewed Page, who talked about facing Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc. Dean Malenko beat Alex Wright.
That was good.
Yeah.
Malenko brought Rey Mysterio's mask to the ring with him. Malenko used a double chicken wing rollover for the pin. Shivani interviewed Malenko and hyped his match against Ray Jr. at Havoc. Jeff Jarrett beat Steve Armstrong. Jeff Jarrett versus Steve Armstrong.
They probably had a good little Memphis match.
Yeah, probably not a bad match.
Steve Armstrong, Nate, you and I talked about this on a show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most underrated Armstrong of the group. He was the guy, like I said, had the size, the talking ability, and the actual in-ring ability. Like Steve Armstrong was the total package of the Armstrong family, but he didn't want to fucking leave. He was a homesteader.
Yeah.
Like that dude should have been a bigger star than he was. I think we were talking about that when we talked about him and Tracy being a tag team. Like the Young Missiles were a fucking great tag team.
They were.
Yes.
They were. I think Steve got a better claim to fame as a referee in the WWF.
It was Scott.
WWE, and that's Scott? Okay. I retract my statement. Too many damn Armstrongs.
You can never have too many Armstrongs. Bring them all.
The Faces of Fear beat Bunkhouse Buck and Mike Enos.
Ooh. That was probably a tough one.
Yeah. I bet they beat the fuck out of each other.
Right?
Lex Luger beat Mark Starr with the torture rack.
Okay.
Shivani interviewed Luger, who talked about facing Arn Anderson at Halloween Havoc. Oh my God. All right. So we just talked about Jeff Jarrett beating Ron Studd on Nitro in 1 minute and 18 seconds.
Old Melonhead.
Ron Studd beat Chavo Guerrero on this Saturday night TV taping.
See how long it was?
No, it doesn't say how long it was, but it does say the height difference is 2 feet. Like, and Ron Studd is literally 2 feet taller than Chavo Guerrero.
If it wasn't 28 seconds, it was too long.
Chavo's like, so wait a minute. Jeff gets to beat him in 1 minute and 28, and I gotta lose? Well, Jeff's new. Yeah, but I'm a Guerrero.
Right, I'm a fucking Guerrero. Chris Benoit beat Craig Pittman. What do you guys think about Craig Pittman? We don't.
What do I think of Craig Pittman?
We've talked about him on this show, like obviously in results and stuff. We mention him and all that, and I don't think we've ever talked about him on the We Can't Wrestle podcast. I don't know if I know anybody on this show, as close as we all are. I don't know if I know anybody's opinion on Craig Pitbull Pittman.
Well, my opinion is that when he first debuted, he was terrible. Because he was fresh out of the power plant. Then they had that god-awful feud with him and Cobra. Mm-hmm. Then the most interesting thing he did for like 3 weeks in a row on Nitro, he'd walk up to Bobby Heenan and he'd go, Mr. Heenan, you are the genius of professional wrestling. Will you be my manager? And Bobby Heenan went, I'm not a manager anymore. Go look for Teddy Long. And he became a face under Teddy Long for about 6 months. And then became a heel again. It was terrible all over again.
So Archie didn't like Craig Pitbull Pittman.
Not one bit. I like Cobra better. And I didn't like Cobra.
I didn't like him. No. But do you guys want to know the most random thing that I own? Do you want to see it?
The Craig Pittman action figure? Yeah, I don't know why that needed to get made.
He has the Craig Pitbull Pittman action figure.
I have the random ass Craig Pitbull Pittman action figure. Yeah. But honestly, from a character standpoint and a promo standpoint, Craig Pittman was terrible.
Terrible.
But from like just a wrestler aspect, he wasn't a bad wrestler.
He was bad. He used to jump into the guy's stomach and try to headbutt him. He missed 80% of the time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Aaron. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Like he's a guy that I'm indifferent to. Like if somebody would post a picture of him and say, "What are your opinions of Craig Pittman?" They wouldn't say anything. Like he existed.
You just type meh.
He existed.
Right. He existed, right.
And here's
he somehow never got taken out by the NWO, but also never ran out to help WCW with the NWO.
Right. Yeah, he was just
there. He was never around her.
Him and fucking Jim Powers and Ice Train just hanging out with Teddy Long.
Yeah.
And Scott Norton was just like, "Why am I with these people?"
And then he joined. Then he joined the
Yeah,
NWO.
joined the NWO, right?
It's like, you people are so bad. I'm gonna go hang out with Buff.
Right.
Then the end of this taping, the Rochester Roadblock versus Randy Savage was scheduled next. Roadblock came to the ring with a Roadblock sign over his shoulders. The pro wrestling folks. As Savage's music played, referee Randy Anderson came to the ring and told referee Mark Curtis and announcer Dave Penzer that Savage had just left the building. Penzer announced the standby would be Roadblock versus Dusty Wolf. Roadblock squashed Dusty Wolf. Then Lex Luger came out and challenged Roadblock. The two had an impromptu match that ended when Luger chased Roadblock to the dressing room. This insanity is what ended the show.
No comment. I don't even know how to go.
12 people saw that happen.
We were three of them.
Before the WCW Saturday Night TV tapings, they taped two matches for WCW main event, where Joe Gomez, and we talk about this on the indie results a lot, but this is happening in WCW. Joe Gomez beat Southern Posse. That should be a tag team name. Why is it a guy's name?
Right. Right.
And Dick Slater beat Scott Armstrong.
Yeah.
So there's that.
A lot of Dick and Posse were getting beat Saturday night taping.
That might have made for a good stable. The Dick Posse.
The Dick Posse. All right, so quickly we have some ECW results, and then we're done for the day, guys.
I'm a side panda.
ECW, October 18th in Plymouth Meeting, Pennsylvania, at the Lulu Temple. The Lulu Temple.
There's weird
Lulu.
names in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Like,
You're right.
Meeting, Pennsylvania, and
Yep.
Intercourse, Pennsylvania. I was like, what's going on in fucking Pennsylvania?
Well, we know what's going on in Intercourse, Pennsylvania. We don't know what's going on in the rest of it.
Shane Douglas beat Mikey Whipwreck. Taz beat Roadkill. Hack Myers and Louis Spicoli beat Bad Crew. New Jack beat Axel Rotten. The Eliminators beat Bubba Ray and Spike Dudley. Doug Furness beat Devon Storm. Pitbull 2 beat Sammy Silk of the Samoan Gangsta Party. Sammy Silk.
Which one would be Sammy Silk?
Rosie.
That would be, yeah.
Samu?
No. I think Samu was still known as Samu.
Oh,
no, wait, you might be right. Wait.
Maybe.
Because you said it was a Samoan Gangsta Party, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that would be Umaga and Samu. Or not Umaga, sorry, Rosie. So I bet Sammy's. I might need to look that up.
Sammy Silk.
I don't have my phone around me, but
Hang
I think
on.
Sammy Silk might be Samu.
I can look right now. Sammy.
I'm checking.
I didn't think that would be the thing where people are like, let's check it out.
That's what we do on our shows. That's what we do on this show. Yes, it is Samu. If I search Sammy Silk, Samu's Wikipedia comes up. So
Okay.
I win.
He was Sammy Silk. I read Rosie's name as Big Fatty Smalls, but it's Big Fatty Smalls.
Big Fatty Smalls.
I think Big Fatty Smalls would be better.
That's better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're auto-correcting 25 years ago, and Archie wins.
Like honestly, like, not to delve off into it, but like when you think about 3 Minute Warning when they showed up in the WWF, which would have been, or WWE
2003.
which would have been like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
You forget.
Well, 2002, but whatever.
2002, whatever. Like, you don't think about how long, like, Rosie, and I know Umaga wasn't in that team, but like how long Umaga and Rosie were working before they got there.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
like when you think of Umaga, like people are like, oh, Umaga. And you think about like, oh yeah, like this 4-year run in the WWF. It's like, well, that dude had been working since like 2002.
Yeah.
Or not even 2002, like this 1996. Rosie. You know, you think about when he got there and he had this short ass career, but he had been fucking working
for years.
You know
Right.
what I mean? And
But I think that was back when Vince had a working relationship with the Samoans and their wrestling company they had. So he constantly had an eye on who was coming up in the ranks. And I think that's why we're not getting that many Samoan wrestlers anymore since the Usos and Roman Reigns. The biggest guy they've signed recently is the Usos' brother and one other guy that's a relative, a cousin or something like that. But back in the day, they used to get everybody. Like we got Alpha Jr. and we got, younger Samoans who weren't really the best, but Vince tried to make them work.
Yeah.
And see, like I said, I didn't want to try to like get off on a tangent or whatever, but that's what I was trying to say about like when you think about it, like Rosie was in the fucking ECW in 1990. We're talking about 1996, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And he got there, and you didn't think of Rosie as being like some old dude. It's been working. You thought of being a young dude, but like, oh, why is he so great? Well, it's because he's been wrestling for fucking 10 years,
right,
or 7 years, And now it's like when you see a guy and he's on TV, it's like, he's probably been wrestling for 5 months. That's why he sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Sabu pinned Too Cold Scorpio.
Didn't want to get off on. Oh, what?
That was probably good.
Sabu pinned Too Cold Scorpio. Oh yeah,
that was fantastic.
I was gonna say I paid good ass money to watch that match.
That was probably one of Scorpio's last matches before he went to WWE and become Flash Punk.
Yep. He signed. I think he signed with WWE. If not this week, the next week. Yes, in '96. Tommy Dreamer beat Brian Lee, and Sandman beat Stevie Richards to retain the ECW heavyweight title. And then October 19th in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. Not Bethlehem, Bensalem. Or is it Ben Salem? I don't know. We just talked about...
There's not a Ben Salem, Pennsylvania, I don't think.
Okay.
I think it might be Bethlehem, and they wrote it wrong.
Doug Furness beat Devin Storm. What's that, Aaron?
Maybe it's Bend Over.
It's probably...
No, it's Hanover.
To be honest, that probably is a town in Pennsylvania.
It's an Andover, not a Bend Over.
There is a town...
Handover and Bendover are right after or right before.
Right.
When Kendall and I go to Indianapolis, Archie, we take this to get to the interstate is I-69 that you take to get down to Indianapolis. Over in Indiana. But to get there, we have to take this, like, it's not a country road, but it's like a 2-lane highway, okay?
Okay.
To get over to the expressway to get down to Indy. Anyway, I'm getting to a point talking about town names.
Okay.
As you go down this state route through Indiana, you think Ohio's podunk, folks. You ain't been to Indiana. Anyway, there is a small town that we go through in Indiana, and the name of the town is Toxin. Like, why would I ever want to live in Toxin, Indiana?
Right.
Jesus.
If I lived there, I would take advantage of it. I'd have a little tail behind my head. And maybe have a third ear on my forehead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, love you, Toxin. Now, you should see
where my second wiener is.
Got my butt.
You mentioned dumb city names. On the way to Florida, there are two cities in North Carolina, and the first one you just have to read. Like when somebody doesn't say the name, they just read it the way that it is spelled, not the way it's meant to be. So we're driving one day, and my wife and I were on our way to Florida. She looks out the window and she goes, "Look, honey, we're coming up to Dumfries."
Dumfries.
And I look and I go, "Honey, that's Dumfries, not Dumfries." She's like, "No, I think it's Dumfries." I'm like, "There's no B, it's Dumfries." It's like, what difference does it make? So a little while later, I know she's mad at me because I made it the whole correction. We're going down the road a little while later, and there is a town called Manassas, but it is spelled Manass.
Man
So
asses.
I said, honey, look, it's the man asses. And she looks at me and goes, what the fuck? I'm like,
Well, I don't care about the man asses, but I've learned a new thing that I'm going to say when I leave a room.
what is that?
I'm going to be like, all right, dumb fries.
Peace.
Eat you dumb fries. And I'm going to spit them out. It's kind of like the Stay Fresh cheese bags.
All right. Also on the show, Bubba and Spike Dudley beat Hack Myers and JT Smith. Wait, hold on. Bubba Dudley and Spike Dudley and Hack Myers beat JT Smith, Axel Rotten, and Devon Dudley. Taz beat Roadkill. I didn't realize Roadkill was in ECW this early.
What do you think of
96.
Roadkill?
Huh?
What do you think of Roadkill?
Amish Roadkill?
Yeah.
I like Roadkill. I thought he was cool.
Bad. Character was pretty funny.
I thought he was a cool big man.
Yeah.
I thought his gimmick was fun.
Yeah, I thought he was. I thought he was a big. Not a big. I thought he was a big. I can't talk. I thought he was a good big man wrestler, and I actually enjoyed when he teamed with Danny Doring.
I do too.
Like I know people talk about like tag teams and like the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express and the Rockers and Demolition and all that shit. Like when they look like a team. But I sometimes enjoy when two guys don't look like they should be together.
Right. It's real weird looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, Danaconda, and he's all flashy and shit, and he's just with this fucking Amish dude.
Chickens.
Chickens. And the only thing that son of a bitch would say is chickens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I kind of like sometimes when two guys don't look like they should be.
Yeah, an odd couple.
They actually were a pretty good tag team, I think.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
New Jack beat Eliminator Cronus. Eliminator Saturn beat Mikey Whipwreck.
Who's the better eliminator?
Ooh, Saturn.
I liked Saturn, but they were great as a tag team. They were by far my favorite tag team in the mid-'90s until Saturn decided to go to WCW. Saturn was the better wrestler, but I don't know. There was just something about Cronus that I liked better.
Cronus was, and I'm not. It kind of goes back to a little thing of what we were talking about with Randy Savage, kind of, and Piper. Not, I mean, I'm not comparing him to them, but what I'm saying is, what he was good at, what John Cronus was good at was, sometimes wrestlers play a crazy gimmick, and it's almost too gimmicky. Cronus literally, when you watch him, he was, and maybe he was, I don't know, I didn't know the guy, but he was very good at making you feel like he wasn't over the top crazy, but he was unhinged. Like this guy,
lunatic, right?
Yeah, this guy's the guy that's talking to himself near the bathroom at the mall, and you're afraid that he's gonna pull a fucking machine gun out of his trench coat. Right. You know what I mean? Like he did a really good job at that. What?
Like Mustafa.
Yes. Mustafa was great at that too.
Like New Jack cut the, like with the gangsters. I don't want to get off on it, but like when the gangsters would cut their promos, it's like, okay, New Jack is saying the shit, but I'm not afraid of him. You know what I mean?
Oh no, but Mustafa, you were afraid of.
Mustafa, it's like I'm a little afraid.
Yeah, Mustafa's just back there like, ha 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 ha.
Right.
Digging in his nose and like fucking bones at you.
Kill him.
Like,
we're gonna kill him. We're gonna get him.
That guy might be legitimately insane.
I think that's why when New Jack and Cronus got together as a tag team, because Mustafa left and Saturn went to WCW. That's why they actually worked together for that little bit, because they were basically still coming together as the same tag team, just with different components.
Mm-hmm. Then on this show, Too Cold Scorpio
I
pin.
do agree. Sorry, I do agree. Like wrestling wise, Saturn was the better of the eliminators. But they were a fantastic tag team.
It worked.
Yes. I was a fan of Cronus with Saturn. I was just, and the reason I guess Archie I leaned toward Saturn is once the eliminators split,
Saturn was the better worker.
I didn't like Cronus without Saturn, but I like Saturn without Cronus.
I understand.
Too Cold Scorpio pinned Sabu on this show.
Oh,
so it looked like they traded wins, yeah. And then Sandman beat Stevie Richards. And that is it. ECW results, and that is it for a slice of time.
The one thing before we go, I loved the Too Cold Scorpio did in ECW. Before he left, was on an episode of Hardcore TV. I think his first opponent was Hack Myers, and he made a bet with Hack, telling him, if I beat you, you can't wrestle for 2 weeks. So he beats Hack Myers in like 5 minutes. He says, I'm not done yet. Bring me out another guy. And here comes Devin Storm. Tells them, if I beat you, you can't wrestle for 3 weeks. And he beats like 5 or 6 guys. And the last guy can't wrestle for like 3 months. I think it was like one of the Bad Crew or something like that. He's beating jobbers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't want to lie who it was. It might have been Chris Jericho or was somebody. But guy comes to the ring. He's like, I want to fight you, Scorpio. He's like, no, we're going to WWE together. Come on, buddy. And the guy takes his head off for a clothesline and beats him in the ring in like 3 seconds. And then Scorpio's like, fuck this. I'm going to WWE to get paid. And he gets out the door. And he's just like, you know.
Fantastic.
That was what was good about Too Cold Scorpio in ECW that they didn't allow him to do in WCW or WWF. He was himself in ECW.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So.
And talking about like polar opposite tag teams, him and fucking Sandman being.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Fucking Sandman being drunk and like dancing with him and shit.
Yeah. When they fired Woman, when Sandman looked at her and goes, go manage Macho Man and hug him, get the fuck out of here.
And put her in the limbo and all that
Yep.
shit.
Yeah.
That was good stuff. Yeah, watching Sandman try to like fucking pop lock and shit.
Yeah.
With Too Cold. It's good. It's good shit. We'll get there eventually on the Reliving the Extreme podcast.
Yes, we will, and we'll get there on about any number of podcasts, but on this one and on Reliving the Extreme. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Archie and Aaron, of course, for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome.
And everybody else, I want to thank you for listening to A Slice of Time.
You get the difference between me and Archie's like,
thank you
thanks
for
for
having us. Welcome. That's why we work on Aaron.
But that is the beauty. That is the beauty, ladies and gentlemen, of the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network with Aaron and
we're a great tag team.
Aaron and Archie, with Aaron and Archie and Chad Austin and David Gold and John Majewski and everybody that's around these shows.
I can't. I'm talking over you. Sorry.
That's all right. That's your gimmick.
It's not a gimmick if he does it for real.
But
they say the best gimmick is your personality.
An extension of your personality, yes.
Turned up by 10. So I am going to make this promise to both of you that going forward, I'm going to turn my personality up by 10.
Jesus Christ.
Well, but these ones go to 11.
All right. I'll turn it up by 12.
God damn it, Archie.
I've been holding back. So
come on. Nobody recognizes
I'm going to turn my
reference?
personality up. I understood your Spinal Tap reference. But I've been holding back for the last 5 years.
I've only known
personality.
I've only known you 2.
How long has the We Can't Wrestle podcast been going?
Since 2017.
And it's 2021 now. How many years
4
is that?
years. 4 years.
I've been holding back for 4 years.
Oh. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen.
I've been being a church mouse.
Well, you continue being a church mouse here, and you can be whatever you want to be on your own show. Aaron's show, the year that was will be heading to your podcast ears next week. We are going to get restarted on that show as well, as he is discussing 1997. And of course, check out Archie, If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking, our modern product show here on the We Can't Wrestle, or the WrestleNet Radio Podcast Network.
We'll be having goulash this week.
Yay! And of course, check out.
Somebody go, yay!
I can bring two of my friends.
Like, do you have Airbud?
Do you have
I love
Airbud?
when he calls the fucking movie theater. He's like, do you have Airbud? Do you have Airbud? Yeah, we have Airbud. Yay! I can bring two of my friends. Yay! But sorry, Nate. Now I talked about crank eggers. This is the only other thing I'll say.
But hurry up, because my beer's empty. I need to go get a beer.
And I'll shut up. I like when they have the sophisticated rich man that wants people to paint him naked. and when he's like, how much would it cost you? How much would it cost you to paint me naked on a horse? And they're like, that would be like $300. And he's like, double it. Like, no matter what they say, like, double it.
I love that fucking show.
Yeah, that's my
and
favorite one.
And the Jerky Boys CDs. I miss those times. I miss the Jerky Boys.
You offer me coupons? Yeah, fucking crank Jaegers. Like,
I bob you to place.
Yeah,
I bob you to place.
Any monetary sum they would give that guy, he'd just be like, double it.
Double it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me, and listeners, thanks for joining us. We will return next week. And like I said, this show may have some weeks Archie can't be here, Aaron can't be here. I may bring John in. I may bring David in. Whoever's here with me every week on this show, even if it's me alone. It's 25 years ago in professional wrestling, and we will see you next week, everybody. Have a great week. Thanks for joining us.
Everyone.
Anybody can enter.